Hello and welcome to another action-packed update video on my painting. I am Dakian. It's Monday the 3rd of August 2015 and we're kicking things off with Malifaux. And you're looking at the bear, the Slate Ridge Mauler. I can do a little turnaround of him. Show you what he looks like. All ready to go. You can compare him to the image. Not too dissimilar, somewhat similar fur tone, but I went for more of a three-dimensional highlighting and shading. And if you're wondering how I got the differences in the fur texture, it's using different colors for shading and highlighting, not just brown, but using the bit of color theory that I've learned recently, and yeah, using different colors. I'm quite pleased with how he turned out, actually, and I like the base work. It looks like there's frost or dew or something caught in the grass. I don't know if you can tell on camera. This is beads of the varnish, unfortunately, getting caught there. A bit heavy-handed, perhaps, with that. But, oh well. I don't think it lessens the impact that much. So currently in the works for Malifaux are the Malifaux raptors, which are these two birds. They're slightly different in wing shapes. Both of them have, well, the feet, the legs were separate and they were glued on, and I've green stuffed the gaps. It's a bit, it covers a bit much of the detail, but you know, nobody's going to see it. They're going to be like this on basis, and nobody's going to look underneath them at the join between the legs and the body. So better safe than sorry. Now, for the basis, I've taken these pieces, the tree and the rock were included, and so I decided to just use them on the normal basis and add some grit. The question is how to attach them, because these legs are of course way too thin to put pins in. I could put a separate pin in the body, but that would be extremely visible and noticeable, and there's not much of this to put the pin in anyway. So I'm thinking I'm simply gonna have to super glue it and hope and pray it stays on. And similarly on this one, perched on top of the rock here. And I think I'll have to do that before priming, because glue works better for metal on metal than paint on paint. Now, as for when I'm on the subject of paint, this is what the picture looks like of how they painted it. Just a basic reddish brown with some tan, maybe yellow highlights. A little boring, perhaps. I'll do some research, or maybe use my imagination to come up with something more fun. I like what they've done with the base here. Lots of grass and some flowers or something. I'm going to try to find more basing material. I have tons of different basing material, but I think I need some even more. I need some brightly colored flowers. I don't have any of those. I'll go look in the railway modeling store. So, yeah, but these are pretty simple figures. If I get any work done on them at all, they will probably be done by next week. So, let's move on to the next section. And the centerpieces of my first Frostgrave warband are complete. A wizard and an apprentice. This is the sigillist. And this is the apprentice. As you can perhaps see if you remember last week's video, I painted them pretty much according to the scheme in the rulebook. I've added a few little flourishes of my own, like adding text to the scroll instead of having it glowing. I thought I needed something to fill up all that empty space. And I added some color because I thought it's perhaps an illuminated manuscript with some pictures in it, or at least some colored glyphs. And yeah, I did the sort of the robes are kind of in 3 layers. The innermost you can see peeking through there is white, and then there's a gray, and finally the outer cloak is green. In the picture in the book, what's the midtone here, which is gray, I painted gray, was also green, but I thought that was confusing because then you couldn't tell the 2 layers apart. So I did a sort of grayish green. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of green mixed into the gray here, while the white has a little bit of gray in it, a blue-gray actually, in the shadows. So there's a transition from green to green-gray to gray-white. And to offset it, a few little splashes of red, like little seals here and there, just to contrast the green. Well, that's the wizards. Now I just have to fill the warband up with soldiers. And here we see the next batch of soldiers, prepped and soon to be primed and painted. Now, getting all 8 of these finished by next week is a tall order. Not sure I can manage that, but I'm going to get as much done on them as I possibly can. Because if I have all of these ready, then I will have everything I need for a starting warband in Frostgrave. The results of my excursions into the Cthulhu mythos this week have produced some cultists. You can tell by their strange headgear. Otherwise, I painted them to look rather normal. I mean, okay, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't go dressed like this on the streets of London, but there's nothing that immediately draws your attention until, let's see, he's drawing his knife from inside his jacket here. That's kind of suspicious. Or if he's pointing a Luger at you. But otherwise, yeah. And as you can see from my paint-stained fingers, I've recently completed a painting session. Oops. Fumble fingers. Let's show these guys off a little bit. I tried to go sort of against expectations. I mean, they're evil, so they should be in dark colors, right? No, I painted them really bright. You know, hiding in plain sight. I think, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. These are the last guys from the set, from the Strangers on the Train set for Horror on the Orient Express. They're not... there's no unifying theme for them like the previous little groups I painted. Train staff and cultists. These are just opponents that turn up at various points in the campaign. And yeah, we'll see if I have time to paint all of them until next week. But this is what they look like with just a coat of primer. Turn them around, spin them around. Oh, oops. Yeah. Well, you know, at least one of them will get done. We'll see. As we go on to the bone section, I've painted more than I can actually show in one shot. So let's start with some of the ones I'm not so happy with. We have these various beastmen. We have Minotaur. What's wrong with these, you might ask? Well, they're kind of monotone. They're just browns and grays and some metallics, and there's not much to them. This one has some nice light and dark contrast, but these guys are a bit muddled. They're kind of just reddish brown all over. but whatever. Lesson learned, and as always, making mistakes with these plastic crap minis doesn't matter. It's a good way to experiment and try things and learn things. For example, I learned here for these centaurs, if you have these pelts that they're wearing on, this is not their skin, it's not their fur, it's a separate piece they're wearing over their back to protect their own skin from chafing from the metal plates. Don't paint a gray background to silver metallic. It just looks the same. And also I kind of lost the shading on the, well, rather the original color. I shaded the horse flesh with brown, and it was originally a light gray. It would have been better if I'd kept that gray and used more brown on the first, but oh well. Moving along, we have some more, the final of the amphibious aquatic, adult mutant warrior turtles. A bit brighter than the previous mottled browns. I mean, these are green. That's nice. And for shiny colors, I did the dragonlings. I decided that since I had 4 of them, I'd paint them different colors, and the classic chromatic colors are, of course, these 4 plus black, and black is boring to paint, so I just did the red. Move away. Here we have a red. And I painted generally the wings darker by shading them more. So this is kind of a black red. Same thing here, the green is darker on the wings. But there's still recognized to be a green dragon. Blue. The light colors on the chest plates didn't come across as well on the blue. And I see here I've gone over with the blue there, but oh well, nobody's going to care. White is difficult. You need some high contrast shading to make it appear as not just a white blur. Oops. And the wings are somewhat blacker. Let's see, what do we more have? More monsters. I did the carrion crawler is also supposed to be green, canonically. Not sure, tentacles I just painted like whatever. This is in the Reaper Miniatures catalog called a Chthon. I don't know if that's a monster that exists in game, but oh well. It's like a big snake with a huge maw. It looks kind of Cthulhuoid. Oh. And oh yes, these. Oh, there we go. We have these guys that I had to assemble the tentacles for, the roper and the whatchamacallit. And the roper is supposed to be a sort of yellowish gray, according to the monster manual. So I tried to go for something like that. And that concludes all the bones that I had shown you up until last week. I have actually gotten so much done that I've painted up a few that you've not seen before. First off, continuing the classic D&D monster, the Ankheg, which is supposed to be... It's supposed to look sort of like a praying mantis, and this doesn't really look like that. It looks more like a, I don't know, centipede, skinny centipede. Anyway, it's kind of an insect, huge insect that burrows through the ground, so it's bursting up from beneath here. And I went along to do a couple of humans. You're going to see in the upcoming section here more humans that have been prepped. And I finished these 2 because they were so quick. They're mostly black. The nun and the ninja. A nun with a gun, no less. I did the sash here for the ninja a red just to break it up a little bit, not be all black. I mean, the nun has the white at least. If you're wondering how to get a simple black effect without looking dull, the answer is to base coat in black, you dry brush in gray, and then you glaze it again in black to bring it down. That leaves some highlights, but they're not too sharp. Well, let's see what's on the table for. And as I said, I have some humans in the works. What I did actually was I went through my huge box of Bones minis and I picked out everything that wasn't fantasy, anything that was some other genre. And so that Nun and the Ninja were modern day people. So is this one some civilian girl in, well, kind of a 60s style outfit. This seems to be some sort of superhero. I don't know. We have a couple of pulp era investigators. This guy you might recognize because I've painted this model in metal before, but now he's here in plastic. And here we have some kind of Indiana Jones clone. We have a science fiction trooper, a couple of steampunky guys, one in sort of full steampunk armor. It's just been base coated in black because it's going to be a lot of metallics. And this is some sort of inventor with a power fist and a wrench. And back here we have a bunch of gunslingers. This is just a guy and this is a girl, but these two are clearly undead. So I believe these must be Deadlands miniatures, intended as such anyway. That's my theory. And behind these you can see a couple of big dudes because, well, turns out the aquatic theme was not fully finished. We have this shark guy thing. And to connect it, I have the land shark, or the boulette as it's called in D&D. And you see I've started a bit of undercoating there. With these guys, these big chunky minis, with them I almost don't mind the material, the Bonesium. It kind of works. It's not, it doesn't leave me as disgusted. But still haven't bothered to fill the gap here because, whatever. It's just bones. Now, what will I do if I finish all of these before next Monday? Well, I will pick something out of this huge bag of plastic. You can perhaps see the hints of some monsters here. These are various demonic and undead and unnatural things that are in sort of in line to be painted in the coming weeks ahead. And that concludes my bones section of this video. So it might look like I'm on the right path and I'm ahead in the numbers. It's kind of an illusion because I've got a Kickstarter waiting to be confirmed. That's gonna push the purchase number up quite a lot, and I'm on another Kickstarter right now that's gonna I'm gonna wind up with a lot of new minis. So but I'm trying to get as much as possible done in what's left of the summer. The schedule ahead, you might have noticed I've pushed out quite a lot of videos recently, reviews and such, and I'm gonna do a ton of reviews probably during the coming week and a half maybe, because after that it's back to work. It's back to my day job, back to the daily grind. Vacation is over and videos will start becoming much less frequent. And I will still do these updates on every Monday, I hope, but they will be shorter because I won't be getting as much painting done. I mean, this was a huge beast. This episode was like over 20 minutes, and hopefully next Monday will be the same, but the week after that, probably not as long. But I hope you stay with me, and maybe you have a backlog of videos you haven't watched yet on my channel, so you can always go back and look at the ones you missed. That's all I've got for you today. Not gonna blather on about anything else today. So until next video, this is Dakian signing off.